red lights go out. It's a very good start from Warren Allen, who blasted into the lead. It's very, very busy behind, though. They're 3 and 4 abreast, possibly, as Roger Coy's 968 made a pretty dreadful start, it must be said. And the leaders up almost level again. So James Coleman, who didn't initially make as good a start as Warren Allen, challenging as they went into Ritchie's corner. And they flow their way through the right-hander, then down into the hairpin at Wilson. The best of the boxers in third place is number 7, Christian Walker, who has tended to be the winner of Class 2 over the course of the season so far. And it's very, very busy in the middle. Number 15 there, slow off the corner.
3 abreast there. I saw the camouflage car of James McHugh. Jamie McHugh moving up, which was good. But Warren Allen, who still has a novice cross I see on the back, but that's just to put people off, I think, burst out of the blocks, didn't he?
The car losing places there was Dominic McGee from 4th on the grid. His lap time, I think, would have been done by Colin Tester in qualifying.
And similarly, Roger Coy's by Callum Lockie.
That's right.
That's why the 968 was dropping back.
Yeah, absolutely right. So those two have both lost positions. But for the lead of the race, James Coleman is going with the leader. Then down into Oggies, Warren Allen. A big twitch there of oversteer for James Coleman, but he caught it. He's a pretty experienced Porsche driver. We don't see him that often in this series. There's Christian Walker, the youngster, in third position. He's just 19 years of age. He's a university student from Berkshire, so it's pretty nice to be able to race a Porsche Boxster while you're at uni. But he's there in third position, and some way behind the two Caymans. They've got a lot more power. Those Class 1 cars out front, the class system based on power to weight ratio, as most 750 Motor Club categories are. But Warren Allen versus James Coleman, this looks pretty entertaining, Marcus.
Yeah, very much so. They're nose to tail round the long right-hander here, and they've come back into our sight, and there's probably 2 lengths between them coming off the long curve into Murray's now, onto the brakes, down the gearbox, and now a very good exit from second place car, which is James Coleman. And they're going to charge up the centre straight back towards us. The tail end is still coming around Coram.
Yeah, this huge grid will spread its way around the circuit. The leaders down towards Ritchie's. Coleman challenging Warren Allen then. These cars in qualifying were lapping in the 08s and 09s, which is quicker than we've seen any car in this category race go before.
He came very close to opening a gap there coming into Ritchie's, but he dives down into Wilson now. There's a little into smoke for a lock-up from the leader, but 3rd and 4th really close as well.
Yeah, that's Christian Walker, just of his dad, John Walker, the experienced Caterham racer in the past. So, the son and lad and dad battle instead of lad and dad combination of drivers. They shared a car in previous seasons, but they have separate cars this year. So John Walker chasing after Christian Walker. Meanwhile, the leaders, Warren Allen and James Coleman, turn their way into the Agostini hairpin. It's still then Warren Allen who is ahead in that battle, but only just from James Coleman. So these two Cayman S machines that will produce something around getting towards 300 brake horsepower, I should think, turn their way through Oggies and then up towards the right-hander at Williams. These cars all run on treaded tyres to help again with the cost. And then the battle behind. Christian Walker just ahead of his dad, John Walker, who's raced in Caterham Superlights, Lotus Cup Europe, but more recently in this Porsche car that is prepared by Childs Ivy Porsche, a very significant sort of team going back in the 1980s at Le Mans, Marcus.
That's right, based just to the west of London, Charles Ivy, and they took 935s to Le Mans at one point. A very successful team, independent Porsche specialist, as many are.
So we await the completion of the second lap. You can see the back markers are sort of still on the infield section, where we pick up some of the battles there, including car number 60, which is the car of Mark Callaghan, who we've seen race things like Sports Specials in the past, having his first run, I think, in this Boxster S.
They sound so different, the first two cars. The second one has a throatier tone to it, almost like it has an exhaust issue.
Okay, we'll have to keep an eye on that. There's Roger Coy. So yeah, he dropped down to 13th at the start of this second lap, which we're about to complete. He's just ahead of the Cayley car, which is the 80 machine, I think, driven in this one by James Cayley, who regularly races in the club championship in a Cayman, but in a Boxster this weekend. Damage there for number 44, which is Sam Callahan, the X Factor contestant, nowadays racing Porsches. And Roger Coy there, he's under pressure from James Cayley, who goes through in the Boxster S. So you can see there Roger Coy in one of the front engine cars, the 968, which he'll be sharing over the weekend with former British GT champion Callum Lockie. I think they're also doing road sports as well.
Yeah, Callum Lockie, BRDC member, and man whose career goes back to Formula First. Back in the Brands Hatch days. Look for Dan Sylvester, who's moving up well, the omnipresent Dan Sylvester, and he is running currently in 7th place.
Originally we were told that James Harvey was going to do this, but who he's sharing a car with, but it looks like Dan's going in this race. He started 11th, so he's up to P7. Dan Sylvester, who's also doing hot hatch, he's doing road sports, he's doing club enduro as well, so he's got a busy
Is it a quest
day
to sort of compete in every other race during the day?
There he is. We've got a view of him now on our Alpha Live pictures, heading down the Bentley Straight, formerly known as the Revit Straight here at Snetterton, down towards the S's, nowadays known as Brundle and Nelson. So he hasn't really got anyone to battle with as Dan Sylvester, who's a prominent YouTuber as well, so I'm sure there'll be a video coming out of this this event at some stage. And we tend to get some supporters for Dan on the YouTube coverage as well. So he's there in 7th, just ahead of James Brodie. Unsure if that's
Dave Brodie has a son, James, who races.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if that is the same one or not. I haven't been able to find that out. Perhaps I get some news on that as the race day goes on. James Brodie, by the way, started 16th up to 8th, so he's had a good run. Some battles a bit further down the order. Number 30 is Clayton Sampson. He's there in 18th position. This is a Porsche 968 Sport, which is a 3-litre 4-cylinder car. Apparently the 968 Sport, only 306 of these cars were made, which is similar to a Club Sport, but with a luxury package. And I suspect all the luxury bits have been taken out of the car to become a race car. And this car is a car from 1995.
James Brodie's from Maidenhead, by the way, which is the neck of the woods of Dave Brodie, Run Baby Run himself, famed for his efforts in all manner of saloons over the years.
It's good to have him on this grid.
He's raced his father's Sierra Cosy, hasn't he, in previous times.
Number 3 we look at here is Gary Martin. He's out there in a Boxster. He's in 17th position, battling with number 28 as well, which is Lee Ketteridge in his Boxster S. So they come down into the Wilson hairpin, and this is a good showing of how battles can develop all the way through the field in a mixed class series like this. Up front, we've had 3 laps completed, 165. Warren Allen still leads, but only by 0.8 of a second over James Coleman. James Coleman has set the fastest lap of the race. Just a few tenths of a second away from Jonathan Evans' lap record, which is a 2:10.19. So still involved in that battle up front. Christian Walker still ahead of his dad. He's still there in 3rd position, with Lucas Hutchins has come up to 5th. The Brands Hatch winner has been gaining positions as well. Lucas Hutchins. Meanwhile, we can have him watching this battle a bit further down the order for 17th position, which is being headed by Gary Martin, with Lee Ketteridge now, I think, ahead of Clayton Sampson. We've had an incident between the 2 leaders. So the 2 leaders have come together at Corham into Murray's. They're both rejoining. They were so far ahead, I think they still be in 1st and 2nd positions. But now it's James Coleman that leads. So there has been a change of position because of that. We're getting driving standards flags as well for track limits. That's gone to 115, which is a car much further down the order, Philip Waters. That'll be something to watch over the course of the weekend. But Coleman's lap was only a couple of seconds slower than what he's had been, but Warren Allen's much slower. So we didn't see what happened there. But obviously, whether it was a mistake from Allen and Coleman had to take avoiding action, or whether there was actual contact, we're not sure. Doesn't look anything obvious on the cars at this point, Marcus. So
they're sort of a long way clear, aren't they? 5 or so seconds between Allen and Christian Walker, still in 3rd place. That's our leader, the sort of silver and Leighton House turquoise car of James Coleman.
I can't see any sort of dents or anything like that on the car, so that would suggest perhaps it was just a spin and then an avoidance from James Coleman. Perhaps we're here at the end of the race from Chris Stevens. That would be a question to ask James and Warren what may have happened there on what was lap 4 of the race. There is 47 then. James Coleman, the leader in his Cayman. And Oggy's the double apex right-hander, and then takes you down towards Williams, which then takes you back onto the old circuit, basically, down the Bentley Straight. There's Warren Allen, who's still sliding around. These Caymans look quite a handful to drive, Marcus. Quite a lot of power, rear-engined and rear-wheel drive, of course.
Yeah, here's that gorgeous car at the back of the field, the Van Houen car, 911. With that flat front and the supercharged flat 6 engine.
That's a car from 1985, apparently. Imported from the US in 2019, and where it was raced by Randy Luke in NASA and Porsche Club of America races.
I saw his name on the side of the on the roof.
As you say, great to have it here. There's quite few of that type of 911s racing in the UK. Looking back at that battle for 17th position that carries on, Gary Martin still leads that.
Yeah, still at the 2 Boxsters. It's like twins, isn't it? There's twin cars, and then you've got the next pair.
Yeah, and Clayton Sampson's on the inside then in that
90.
Yeah, and he will try to go through.
And this kind of teammate in this this double duel who's on to try and get his way through as well. Very different dynamics, these cars, and you can see how strong the Boxster is off the corner there, but looks like now they're getting gobbled up in a straight line.
25 is the next car to get a track limit warning. That's Jamie McHugh, who's in 6th position. He's had a good race from 8th on the grid, following Lucas Hutchings through. So they're just behind the Christian and John Walker battle, so the first 4 boxes pretty close to one another. A bit further up the order, those cars have just completed 5 laps. We've got just over 3 minutes to go. So this will be a 7-lap race. It'll be 7 laps, I think, in total. In this 15-minute sprint race, they'll have a similar race at the end of today, and then they'll have a longer 40-minute race tomorrow, where both drivers will get to drive and a pit stop in the middle.
Do the second drivers tend to do the other sprint race as well when they have the 3?
They tend to. It depends on who owns the car and how much people are willing to put into the budget.
The kitty,
but generally, we do tend to see both drivers get to race on Saturday, which obviously some drivers quicker than others, so therefore they may go through the order or drop back, because the grid for race 2 is based on the results of this one. Number 1 there, coming towards the end of the lap, is Trevor Bale in his Cayman. He's in 24th position. A bit further down the order, and is he about to go a lap down? Yeah, because James Coleman is up next, heading through Corham. He's 7 seconds ahead of Warren Allen now.
I remember a Trevor Bale, who was a very, very good engineer. Ended up working for David Sears, I think, in Formula 3000.
To find out if it's the same one.
We'll have to do just that.
So on to the last lap for the leader, James Coleman, who's lapped Trevor Bale now. There's 25, that's Jamie McHugh in the multicoloured box chasing Lucas Hutchings, the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit winner. So this is a battle for 5th. They're absolutely nose to tail as they start their final lap, just lapping one of the 924s. So we see then the Hutchings car, the Ashgood Porsche liveried machine, with Jamie McHugh. We normally see in a front engine car in this
John
Boxster.
Walker's dropped down, hasn't he?
Yes. So we seem to have lost John Walker from 4th.
Yeah, he's dropped down.
He's not come through, I don't think, has he? At the end of 6 laps. So number 5, John Walker. We'll have to see if we can pick him up around the circuit. Meanwhile, so this is now the battle for 4th and for 2nd in class, and through goes Jamie McHugh on the inside into Palmer. So he gets himself up ahead. No, he doesn't quite, does he? So Lucas Hutchings hangs on. So it's still Hutchings ahead of McHugh as they come down towards the hairpin. They're only a couple of seconds behind Christian Walker, the teenager ahead of them. So we saw this at Anglesey as well. Some really good battles between these Boxsters. As you were saying earlier, Marcus, really affordable way to go Porsche racing. So down towards Oggy's. This car here is getting a track limit warning. Lucas Hutchings, but he sort of received that warning when the checkered flag comes out.
Just kicking up the dust there is the number 50 car, Lucas Hutchings.
They really do move around, don't they, on the
do.
road? So it's pretty entertaining stuff. But here's the leader. So James Coleman, ever since he got the lead, has been able to pull away. But he's not lapping anywhere near as quickly as they went early on in the race since that incident we saw at Murray's. But for James Coleman, he's going to win for the first time this season then in the campaign against Living Miserably Porsche Trophy. He turns into Murray's then, and it will accelerate up towards the checkered flag to become our second winner of the day at this 750 Motor Club meeting at Snetterton. And the checkered flag is shown then to James Coleman. Second should go the way of Warren Allen, and then we'll wait to see who wins the Class 2 battle. That car a bit further back is James Brodie. They're in 9th position, but the Class 2 win does go the way of Christian Walker. He's ahead of Lucas Hutchins, who does beat Jamie McHugh in that battle they had on that final lap of the race. Then Dan Sylvester will come through next in 6th position, and that battle we've been watching for the majority of the race now had a spin. That's Lee Ketteridge, who was 17th in 28.